I did want to talk about Marty Brown because I'm kind of mad at
Hunter.
I'm kind of mad at a lot of people.
Now, this is going to be interesting because I feel
Mm-hmm.
so I baby tossed my phone yesterday
Mm-hmm.
out of frustration.
From people?
It was one simple tweet.
Okay.
And I looked at it
Yep.
and I sighed and I gave it the casual whoop and didn't go back to it.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go, but I did feel a certain way about something in particular.
I've been super frustrated with the Marty Brown narrative and Nebraska's kind of role in recruiting him because I just don't think people, I don't know, this happens every time something doesn't go the way we want it to, where all of a sudden the sky's falling no matter what the context is, no matter what other positive things have happened up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm fairly certain Nebraska is going to get a very good quarterback in the 2027 class commit today in Trey Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure that's happening. And you've had this track record. I mean, you saw what happened in the transfer portal of where Nebraska went and attacked and got guys, right? Is it easier to get an offensive tackle out of the transfer portal or a running back?
Running back.
Right, by like a million times, right? Offensive tackles are incredibly hard to get out of the transfer portal. What's easier to get out of the transfer portal? A former 5-star edge rusher or a running back? Running back, right?
Yeah.
There's a million more
100%.
of them. What has Nebraska got? Like, so Nebraska obviously saw certain places where there were needs and filled those needs.
Correct.
They obviously do not think running back is that big of a need. Would it have been nice to land Marty Brown? Absolutely. Did they want Marty Brown? Absolutely. But there's two things can be true at once, that they didn't necessarily feel like they needed a running back, and also they tried to get him. There's this narrative out there that either Nebraska has no idea what they're doing at the running back spot, which we've tried to dispel over the course of the last year or so, talking about E.J. Barthel a lot, or the other thing, that they didn't go very hard after Marty Brown. Neither of those things are true. I mean, I don't know how much you want to share. I mean, you've talked about a decent amount already. You were there last week.
Oh, yeah.
With Marty Brown in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Did that seem like a staff that didn't want Marty Brown?
Man. Okay.
The athletic director went to dinner with them. How many athletic directors do you think went to dinner with Marty Brown on this little venture? Probably only just the one. Like, I'm having a hard, just because Nebraska didn't want to write the biggest check or get into a bidding war, doesn't mean they didn't want him.
Yeah, so how much time do we have?
We got like 10 minutes before
I'm trying to operate in a space where I respect all parties. But you're right. A couple of things can be true at once. And you want to know what really upset me?
What's that?
Is that there's the narrative was he was an afterthought.
Yes.
For Nebraska. And that was part of the reason that he didn't go to the university.
Choose. Yeah.
Now, I explained this to my friend Dennis. I said, Dennis, I understand. I was not mad at him. I didn't like the word that he used, but he came back and got it. He's like, maybe that word was too strong, but this is how it looks. These are your colleagues in the media that are saying this. Mm-hmm. So I asked a couple of those guys. I asked Tim. I asked Shafe. It's no coincidence. It's no secret that those are the two guys that the people that talk to me use as a frame of reference because for number one, because they're well respected. That is,
and they're good at what they do.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number 1A is because of the rapport that we have with those two as guests on our show. They are they're just more of the people like those segments of the conversations we have with them. So I am not at all miffed at how that could come. I asked Schaefer, hey, where is this coming from? What did Mike J. Schaefer say? Mike J. said part of it is coming from Marty himself. Marty says, hey, I'm not hearing from Nebraska. Hey, he talked to Brunt. Brunt said this. Fine. At that point, I have a decision to make. Do I try to fix this? Do I try to explain?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
I did have the best, most in-depth talk with Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Schaefer clearly knows the most. But I still didn't compromise Marty either.
Yeah.
But Schaefer does know the most, unequivocally. Because I'm talking to him real time, and he's the only person,
Mm-hmm.
other than you, a Nebraska staff, that is getting the information as real as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What two coaches called during the show in the last 4 days?
You want me to say names?
Yeah.
Barthel.
Yes.
And then was it Rhule?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that happen if Nebraska doesn't want CharMar Brown?
Absolutely not.
Was Nebraska trailing Cal and Miami from the jump?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're trailing from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this, and I understand the perception. I do. I understand this from the recruiting side. I read the tweet. It was tagged. Tim was in it. It was tagged. One of my guys was like, hey, man, you need to go back and listen to DB. I'm not so sure this was the case.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to go back and get it. And I'm like, I'm the only one that really knows the information of the aforementioned. So it doesn't sound – I can't explain it away.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're the only one that knows something and I say something to the contrary of what the popular belief is, I know I could run the risk of being crazy.
Yeah.
So I just didn't – so I tossed my phone. I was like, I'm not getting into this.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say a couple of things. Number one, Miami was way ahead of the game. The minute this thing hit the portal and his handler, I'm not even going to quantify it by saying his name, his handlers put it out there, Miami was on it.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately. Hey, this is what we do. This is the number. Bam. In the meantime, Cal was working their ass off.
Yeah.
Right?
They probably worked the hardest.
100%.
Yeah.
Cal worked the hardest.
Yeah.
Cal was here twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, one of them was to offer Braylon. But, oh, by the way,
yeah,
while we're here,
let's make a stop
and do a second in-home.
Mm-hmm.
When I called Marty from here, what did Marty say?
Hey, Cal's here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm 5 feet from you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, man, my bad.
Yeah, hey, you hit me back.
Hit me back.
Yeah.
Right? But he answered.
Yeah.
Which lets you know what?
That he was interested.
Okay. Does he have to? Would he answer that call if it wasn't important? He'd just blow me off, right?
Yeah. Or he'd be like, I'll get him later.
Okay.
Whatever.
So Cal worked the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Miami offered the most. If Nebraska was behind, which we clearly agree they were.
Yeah.
And I'll get to why in a second.
Sure.
Because that's the most important
I think
thing
that's
for the
what
Hunters.
people are mad about.
Right.
Why were they behind?
Why were they behind? It's fair.
Yeah.
It's legit. So and both have to wear some of it.
Mm-hmm. If Nebraska's behind, which we agree they were,
how did they get down to the wire with this thing?
My guess is if they're not offering the most money
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't outwork Cal,
yeah,
it's because he really liked them.
100%.
Like you really enjoyed his visit on Thursday.
100%.
That's really the only variable left.
So,
right?
Was it a deal of too little, too late? No. But was Nebraska behind? Yes.
Yeah, was the visit and liking them enough to overcome the other stuff?
Right. Now, why was Nebraska slow to go?
Well, one, I think they like their running back room. I think that part's true.
That's number one.
Yeah, they like their room.
That's number one.
They like Ives, they like Nelson, they like EJ.
And I want to say this because I think this is important, man. And there's a certain amount of loyalty that this staff has to not only their culture,
mm-hmm.
but their players in terms of development.
Yeah.
And I got to get on this soapbox here for a second because this is an integral part. And so there's some consternation. You have to be clear
mm-hmm.
about when you bring guys in. Because there was only, up to that point, only one visitor from the portal that had been on campus,
mm-hmm.
and it was Marty Brown. They hadn't had any other running backs on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, Some of it is because they like their running back room. The other part of it is people have to understand coaches that have worked as hard as Coach Barthel has to grow and groom these relationships has to give some pause and some thought and do his homework about anybody that they choose to bring into that room.
Especially into the circumstances. Think about the circumstances with EJ, right? This is the guy that put his name in the portal.
Or you're talking about EJ, the player.
Yes. Sorry,
yes.
Emmett Johnson.
Yes.
This is a guy that considered going into the portal, never officially went in, but announced he was going to. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they had a conversation that brought him back from doing that. Mm-hmm. Whatever the context of that conversation is, which I'm not privy to, but I can imagine, talking about his role on the team next year and those types of things.
Do we have an 8 o'clock?
Yeah, we got Benny Mac.
Okay.
But talking about his role on the team and those kind of things, you probably don't want to feel like you're betraying the trust that he put in you to come back.
See if Benny can see if 8:03 is okay for B-Mac, Shane.
Okay.
And we won't take a break. We can go right to him.
Yeah.
Beauty of digital. So
the relationship with EJ to get him to trust you to stay at Nebraska is a big factor if you're going to go try and bring somebody else into the room
100%.
That is viewed as a starting caliber running back.
100%.
Right?
So you have to really do your background.
Like
you have to really do your background. You have to talk to all the places that Marty has been.
Yeah. And you have to talk, I'm guessing you have to talk to EJ a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Emma Johnson, again, not Barthel.
Yeah.
Like, you have to talk to him and be like, hey, what would you feel about, like.
How do you think I feel? Who are my 2 favorite running backs down there?
Emmett and Mackay.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Who am I the closest to? It's not even close.
I'm not sure.
Of the 2.
You talk about Mackay the most.
Who am I the closest to?
Emmett.
Yeah. How do you think this isn't about me, so hear my heart.
Yeah.
But I do feel a certain way. This is the human component in me of showing up with a guy.
Yeah.
Walking in the building with a guy.
That wants his job.
And I'm for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'm for you, Ravi. But I roll in with Schaefer, and I'm like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Look what's going on.
Yeah.
You're going to look at me sideways.
Yeah,
you
probably.
could.
Yeah.
So you have to do your homework.
And to be clear, there is a difference between, like, we talk about this culture of being able to root for one another and root for each other, even at your own expense. But part of building that culture is the coaching staff doing things that are trustworthy, right? Like, that culture can only stretch so far. If somebody says something to your face and then their actions say something else, like, you're going to have a really hard time trusting that culture, right? Yeah. So you have to be careful in a situation with Emmett Johnson and Marty Brown and bringing somebody else in when you feel like you've got a room you already like.
So, Game Dog, that is reckless at best. Like, not only is it a lie, it's flat out reckless, right? If Dana hadn't gotten here, EJ would be long gone. Like, that's like, you can't even with you just can't. Don't go there because it's not true. But anyway, so you have to do your homework. Mm-hmm. Then on the front end, you get him there. I know what the conversations are from 6:30 to 8. Mm-hmm. Hey, where are we at? I know what Marty told them and Marty's not wrong. Hey, the first time around, it went like this. I can't help it. My family kind of feels like this when it comes to Nebraska.
Different staff, but yes.
It's all real.
It is,
right?
No, it's 100% real.
Am I mad at Nebraska for not feeling like that's their mess to clean up?
No, I get it.
I get it too.
I don't want to clean up other people's messes.
Right?
Because I don't have kids.
all he's ever said is, hey, that's on them, or that was before them, or like, hey, we're all in this together. Can we just move this thing forward? I'm not interested in going back to get this. But I do have to entertain it because it's clearly a thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So then they have to decide if they want to get involved in that. Because it's just messy.
Yeah. And is it worth it?
And what did they find out? It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. That's why they were involved.
So we're now going to the lengths that we are.
And they went to pretty decent lengths. Like, I felt, from what you've told me, I felt they were aggressive in going after Marty Brown.
Yeah.
That's where I was frustrated, there's this narrative out there that Nebraska.
But I do get what sure. I'm not mad at Tim and I'm not mad at Shay. Like, I get where because it's partly true. They were clearly
late.
behind.
They were late. But that doesn't mean they weren't aggressive.
And I think doing their due diligence to make sure it fits in the long run. And I love Marty.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, I want Nebraska doing business like this. This is how I want them to.
100%.
This is how I want Nebraska to approach the portal.
Hey, this is the number. We like you. We want you to be here. We're going to do everything we can to show you
and the
what
longer,
it's like here.
And the longer they were around him, the more they fell in love with him.
Yeah.
And that's the Marty. That's what happened.
And sort of vice versa as well, right? Like the longer he was around them, the more he liked them.
Yeah. So then I watch him and EJ work. Him and Coach Barthel work.
Yeah.
Hey, with the sequential play calling, come over and be a part of this, and this is how we want you to run. And he's seeing guys kind of get better on the watch, and you can chop it up with Mackay and EJ, and you can sit and have lunch with EJ, and then Marty can say things to me like, "Man, this feels a lot like where I left in Fargo, man. I'm rocking with this."
Yeah.
Or I can text Coach and say, "Hey, man, #GBR." Like, where does that come from?
Comes from he liked it there. He liked it at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska showed him love.
Lots of other outside influences other than Nebraska not doing their job. But I clearly understand.
Listen,
I clearly understand the image of Nebraska being late to the party.
And here's the thing. I'm never going to tell a kid or anybody else, hey, don't go get the money you can get. I'm never going to tell anybody that.
Yeah.
What I will tell people is I've done that before too. It doesn't always go the way you want it to. Like the bigger paycheck a lot of times doesn't go the way you want it to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you still shouldn't try and figure it out,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of times the biggest dollar amount is not the best decision.
Yeah, and the thing that I loved about kind of where I think that culture is, because I think this is ultimately how they're going to win. Who had their two best practices that day?
Running backs?
What two in particular?
EJ and Mackay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you came back talking about Mackay.
Who showed his rear end?
Nelson.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, just showed his, like, all of it in all its glory. Like, here I am.
It's like, hey, you can bring in somebody else in, but he's not playing over me.
And he didn't give it any thought.
Yeah.
Like, the dude, he was incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, that, you talk about tugging at my heartstrings. Like, that's the part where I'm like, and people probably weren't listening to the broadcast, but Emmett said, hey, Coach Rhule uses your stuff all the time. He's talking about, like, with you and Lawrence and loving on one another and cheering for one another. EJ said that on the show, on the radio Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
And I'm not going to kid you, Ravi. I had to give it pause because I felt like that's how these guys are going to win. I don't say it for skirt and pom-poms because it hurt my feelings at the time.
Yeah.
But when guys can respond like that and they have other guys breathing down their neck, it's not just a football thing. That's how you got to compete at life.
Yeah. And
so I'm like, let's go. Like, these guys got a chance. So am I disappointed that he's not there?
Sure.
I am. But I love how Nebraska did business. And I love that Marty got a chance to see that they're for real. And they are sincere. So I doubt there'll be a next time around. But, hey.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But also, if you do things, like if you don't compromise in terms of the way you go about your business, if you really are convicted by it, in the long term, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, 100%.
You're going to be just fine.